Hey guys, it's Mike Dawes here with an episode of Sound Advice from the good people at D'Addario String. In this session, we're going to be looking at a little bit of adviceness on the process of arranging songs for solo acoustic guitar in the fingerstyle style. This is a question that I get asked a lot during clinics and in the YouTube comment sections and on Patreon and things like that. And there's really quite a lot to talk about, but I'm going to break down some of the fundamentals for you now in this session. So, fingerstyle guitar, as you may assume, does not involve the limitations of a guitar plectrum. In fact, once we get rid of that, we can grow our nails to most antisocial lengths, so when you pay for something at a bar, they recoil in horror. But anyway, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers and a little pinky for support as well. This allows us to open up the polyphonic potential of the acoustic guitar board, as we are able to pick bass and chords and melody all simultaneously. Now, if anyone out there knows my arrangements and music, you'll know that I go pretty deep into the super kind of complex arrangements, adding in a bit of percussion and some extended techniques as well that we're going to look at in another sound advice session actually. But I want to talk to you about the core components of arranging. To effectively translate a song that people know into a solo arrangement, you need two elements. You need the harmony that people know, and you need the melody that people know. What I mean by that can be as simple as a bass line and a top line. Once we have those elements, we have the essence of an arrangement, okay? Now, in standardized guitar tuning, which we're in right now, we can outline a chord, and through our knowledge of the caged system, we got there in the end, and the scales around the chords that you're playing, you can easily bring out a melody. Let's take this song as an example. The Johnny Cash version of the Nine Inch Nails song Hurt. Right? D sus2 actually. Okay. Now I was playing that earlier, and what I was doing during my process was starting with the most iconic part of the song, the harmony, the chords, making sure I represent that very accurately. Once the melody was due to come in, I wanted to keep it within the register of the vocalist to represent his tone. Johnny Cash is not singing, "I hurt myself today," up in the top. He's very much in the middle, in the low register. Now, what we don't want to do with a guitar arrangement is have a melody that's lower than the bottom note of the chord. My artistic choice with this particular arrangement would be to use the middle register to do the vocals. I hurt myself, whilst still being able to pick that iconic pattern, okay? I hurt myself. But now we're at a point where the vocal is also the exact same note in the same register as the D chord, or the D sus2 that we want to play. Now, this kind of situation can happen a lot on an instrument with only 6 strings, of course. It's a beautiful thing, the guitar. It is polyphonic, and we can play multiple notes in the same octave all over the neck. However, in this instance, we might want to consider changing the tuning to facilitate that D, because standard guitar tuning is very, very close to drop D. So we can take that bottom string and tune it down to D. So what we can do is keep that core harmony and that iconic bum 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 little arpeggio, and keep the vocals in the same octave that people are familiar with. second section there, now we're in drop D, you can treat exactly the same. But we have a third element. Here I'm picking out the melody. But we have a third element, which is this little piano note, bum, 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 which he does in the original, which sounds lush. So very simple bass, playing the chords, some chords and some bass lines, the little note on top as our third layer, and a simple melody. All within drop D. I made the tuning choice on the first section, followed it through to the second section, and we essentially have a complete song there, okay? Now, I also mentioned the caged system, which is really, really important to know. Now, there's plenty of articles about this online, I'm sure, so I won't go into it into too much detail, but what you need to know is that every chord you play can be played in multiple positions across the neck. This is really important for fingerstyle, because if you're playing a melody that stretches outside the confines of the chord that you're playing as part of your harmony, you need to consider being able to shift chord positions and play that same chord in a different location to facilitate that melody. For example, Be My Mistake by the 1975. The melody already takes us over a good few frets there. So if I was playing the backing, which is a C major and an F, we can actually shift from the E-shaped F chord to the D-shaped F chord, just like this. D-shaped F. Right? And it's very easy to improvise like that. Providing you know the caged system. I really can't say that today. And you know the shapes, okay? So in standard tuning, those are the things that I really recommend you start with, okay? Making sure your bass and harmony are effective and efficient, and any tuning changes can happen as the arrangement progresses, but also know the caged system. It will speed up the arrangement process to no end. Now, once you've got your bass line and your basic chords and your melody, that's when you start filling in the arpeggios and you play those broken chords with the aforementioned digits on your hand appendage, okay? Once we're there, you have a pretty nice grasp on how to arrange for standard tuning in solo guitar. Now on my Patreon and plenty of other lessons I have online, we go deep into using alternate tunings to facilitate extended techniques. But for now, guys, enjoy this video. I hope that's been helpful. Please let me know in the comments. See you on Patreon. I'll see you on another episode of Graphic Sound Advice. Take care.